you going? The year is 1991. Currently I'm staying in Baden with Priska and Dan. He's a guy I've been travelling with. They're starting to have a few fights and it's getting uncomfortable living there. And I've received a phone call from my friend Stuart back in Germany. And he's got this amazing venture, this whole circuit of pubs. So I want to get back there, this circuit of Irish pubs. I want to get back there with my music. And that's what I did. But before I left, I wanted to go to Zurich and I wanted to see a few sights and things. That morning I packed up my stuff, gave them my address details if they ever come to New Zealand, gave Priska a hug and I shook Dan's hand. I'd lost Mush along the way. He was the Welshman that spoke like a Jamaican. I don't know where he got to. And I headed on to Zurich. I arrived in the afternoon, looked around for a place to stay, didn't find anything, and I thought, well, I'll find if I can find a pub somewhere and maybe I can meet someone and I end up staying at their house, because that often happened. I slept on a lot of couches. There was a guy busking in the street and he was cool. And I was listening to him for a while, and when he finished, I went up and spoke to him, and I was really surprised that he was from New Zealand. He was Māori, and I cannot remember his name. I've got it written down somewhere in my diary of my travels, but just can't find it. And really lovely guy, playing some cool music, and we got talking. He was from Kerikeri, and we hit this thing together, and he said, I've got a little gig tonight I'm playing. I said, where's that? He says, at the Nelson. I said, the Nelson? He says, yeah, there's a pub called the Nelson here. I said, really? Because I'm born in Nelson in South Island of New Zealand. That's where I'm born, is in Nelson. And he said, yeah, there's a pub called the Nelson. And to my knowledge, for all I know, it's still there. It was in Beatengasse, number 11 Beatengasse. That's where it was. I remember the address. I'm pretty sure it was number 11 Beatengasse. I do remember these things. Anyway, moving along, we went there. He played a few songs, and it was only a very small set he played, and he was finished, and we had a meal together. I went back to his apartment. I stayed the night there. We hung out. We did some music the next day. A lot of things I don't remember, but the following day I went back. It was a Tuesday, and on Tuesday there was some live jamming going on. He, I don't think, came with me, and I went in with my guitar, and there was an open mic thing going on, and I got up and I played this song. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? And there was a woman right in the very front who took note of the song, and she pulled out a flute and started playing. So this woman started playing flute to it. It's in D minor. Absolutely beautiful. She had chocolate hair which just cascaded down, and a very thin head, a strap around her head. Kind of a hippie looking girl with a round moon face and big eyes. Probably maybe my age, a little bit younger. I was 27, and she started playing, and after we did a few songs in this jam, we got talking, and I bought her a drink, and I was getting on like a house on fire with her. And then this other woman comes over with really short hair, dyed like short like a man, cut up the sides, wearing a boiler suit with straps, and quite staunch, I guess you could say. Butch is the word I was looking for. Butch comes up to me, holds out a hand. So the woman playing the flute was called Anna, and the woman in the boiler suit was called Mandy. Hello, Mandy. She gave me a firm handshake, like a tight handshake, and her friend gave me the soft, gentle handshake. That was Anna, or Anna, her name was pronounced. We got talking, and I liked Anna, and there wasn't really much sparks flying from her end, but from my end, I quite liked her. She was attractive. I was a single man roving around. We got talking, played a few more songs, and then she sang in the mic, and oh God, she had a really, really tranquil, mesmerizing voice that was very, 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 what's the word I'm trying to find? Hypnotic, sort of take you away. Beautiful voice. At the end of the night, I'd been drinking too much whiskey. I was really, really too drunk, and I still hadn't got lodgings for the night. I wasn't sure I was going to go hang out with my mate, who I hadn't come along with, or where I was going to end up. And I actually ended up going to the bathroom and throwing up, or the toilets there, throwing up, really come out sick. And Mandy, the butch one, comes up to me and she goes, you don't look so good. And I said, yeah, I've drunken too much. She goes, where are you staying tonight? And I said, I don't know. Well, you can come back to our house. And I said, thank you. And that's what I did. It was midnight, and I slept on a couch, and when I woke in the morning early, everybody was still asleep, and I hadn't seen the place because I'd arrived in the dark, and I started walking around this place, and they had all these books everywhere, bookcases with books, and plants for miles, but cats. there's so many cats. There must have been like 4 cats inside the house that I saw. They had cats for miles. I went outside and there was a little fountain with water on the balcony, which had plants all hanging down. And the smell of jasmine was everywhere. Jasmine? What's the plant? Lavender, not jasmine, lavender. Lavender. You could smell lavender everywhere. They had all these plants. And they also had bonsais growing. They are little trees that have had their growth stunted. So I had all this stuff, but everybody was asleep. So I was out in the veranda and I was just playing my guitar just very, very gently. Just looking around, listening to the birds. Sun hadn't quite come up and the early morning chorus was starting. It was cold. I'm in Zurich somewhere. Just thinking again how crazy and surreal my life is. Like in this space, 2 women that I had just met and here I am. They've taken me in. This is what happens when you're a musician. Wondering if I'll get on a train on this day and go back to St. Ingbert to see my friend Stuart, or whether I'll stay here. My whole spell got completely interrupted and hello, guten Morgen. And it's the butch one, Mandy, comes out. She's all like firm, she's like watering all the plants and all cheery and chirpy. And then Anna comes out wiping her eyes, looking really sweet. Man, she was sweet. I can still see her round face, smiling at me. She goes, hello. I said, good morning. She goes, hello. I said, good morning again. We're looking at each other. And she's like looking at me, smiling. I'm thinking, I just get a soft spot for those soft-spoken women like that with those big eyes. And knowing she could play, she was a flautist. And she played in an orchestra as well. She could play really well. Breakfast, what the hell did we have for breakfast? I remember I struggled to keep it down. Oh, God. Escapes me. It was something that I struggled to keep down. And Anna went to work, and then she went to work first, and then Mandy said, look, I must go to work. Make yourself comfortable. And if you want to leave, just lock the door behind you. They just left me in their home. These people are so trusting. Like, would you do that? Mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. I don't know why they trusted me. I could have been anybody. I could have been a murderer or a robber. I could have been a kleptomaniac that could have stolen things. But no, make yourself at home. I was starting to think, is it a dream? Is this real? It's so surreal. These people are so kind. I said to her, really? She said, yeah. And I said, you trust a stranger to be in your home while you're not here? She goes, we can trust you. And I said, how do you know? She goes, we have feelings. We run from our feelings. Well, this place in their home, it had a big picture of an island woman, completely naked, absolutely beautiful on the wall, like a painting that you'd look at and you'd, gorgeous, like just absolutely beautiful. And all these things everywhere, and I was left in this place alone, looking around, a cat sitting on my lap, there's cats everywhere. And I thought, well, I don't feel that comfortable being in their home all day, but I don't want to lock myself out, but I want to go out. What am I going to do? So, made myself a coffee. I was allowed to use their stuff. Made myself a coffee, played some music, and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll wash all of their dishes, and I'll sweep all the floors, and I'll clean as much as I can, so when they come home, I've added some value to their home. Now, I'm not a particularly tidy guy, but when I'm staying at someone else's house, I always try to add value, and that's exactly what I did. I did all the dishes, put everything away, probably a lot of things in the wrong places because I didn't really know where stuff went. I cleaned the windows, like in the kitchen area. I swept all the floor, I swept all the deck. I bought all the firewood because they had a wee burner. I bought all the firewood outside and stacked it by the fire. I cleaned all the hearth and the fire out and cleaned all the ash out and put it on their compost out in their garden. I did all the jobs I could think of, and before I knew it was midday already. And at midday, Anna came home, and she worked in a library. She came home and she looks around the house and she goes, super. And I said, I didn't know you were coming home at lunchtime. She goes, yeah, I only do half a day. And I said, oh man, I wanted to do more and surprise you guys. She said, don't do anything more, but this is wonderful. And so for the afternoon, we drank tea, played music, and we got on like a house on fire. These 2 women were extreme feminists, and I don't mean just feminists, but they were extreme. And I was really privileged to be trusted. And this is to me, it came across almost as an insult to my masculinity. But that night, when Mandy came home. We're sitting around eating at the table there. Really, really nice pizza that she made. They had a pizza oven. And they had a pizza oven outside that they made the pizza outside of the house. Not inside the house, but a proper pizza oven. We're eating this pizza. And I said, I'm a little bit confused. You guys clearly are quite extreme feminists. All the literature on your wall, all your books, how you're talking about. But you invite me as a man into your home and completely open up. I'm confused. It doesn't really add up to me. And she says to me, I hope you don't take offence, but we find you very feminine for a man. I said, what? You're very feminine. You have feminine energy. You don't come across like a normal male. I said, are you serious? She said, I hope you're not offended. I said, well, no, but I don't think of myself as being feminine. She said, oh, but you are. She said, look at your fingers. I said, what's wrong with my fingers? She goes, they're slim like a woman's. I said, I'm a man. She said, I know, but you're very, very soft, and we just didn't feel any threat from you. I said, this intuition thing, I think you're playing a bit too much into it. If you knew what my life was back in New Zealand, I don't think you'd think I was very feminine. And I said, I'm a hunter, I kill stuff. And she goes, nay. I said, yeah, I shoot deer, I hunt pigs, I hunt goats. I made all my money as a child killing hundreds of little furry animals this big that we call possums. And Anna they looked shocked at me. And I said, you see, I'm not the soft, gentle guy you think I am. There's other sides to me. And I said, I'm also a fighter too. And they kind of went quiet for a while then. And then Anna goes, well, you're welcome here anyway. And I said, thank you, but I think I'm going to get going. The following morning, I decided I would leave. The following morning, I got their address and everything. And it was time to go. They had so many cats. In my diary, and also when I wrote to my stepmother, Sue, because I used to write letters to my stepmother all the time. That was what and I will read some of those letters to you because some of them are quite interesting. I called the place, first of all I called it Pussy Palace, and then I called it Pussy Galore, taken from James Bond. Bit rude, I know, but they never knew I said that. God help me if they ever see this video. Right, I got on a train in Zurich. It was one that was going straight all the way to Frankfurt because that's where I wanted to go to. The train was in the station and I was like 3/4 an hour early before it left, but I thought I'm just going to park up there. I'm going to sit on this train and bide my time because I just had time to fill. I might do some writing in my journal, or I might do some drawings because I used to draw everywhere I went. I used to do pictures of landscapes and things and people. I was sitting in there and an Indian woman who had her face covered up, she had a sort of like a sarong over, and a tall, skinny Indian man came in, and the Indian woman was carrying all the bags, and all of their belongings were in IKEA bags, plastic bags, and she had these 2 heavy bags with a drink, and the man was carrying nothing. He was carrying nothing at all, and he was letting her carrying all the bags. I thought that was very rude. She came and I opened the door and let her, and he didn't even try and open the door for her, he just stood there looking, and I opened the door. And she put the bags down, and visibly it was a lot of weight. And I offered to help her, and the guy was like, no. And I said, well, just, you want help? And she just put her head down like this. And then the man berated her, like said something which I didn't understand in their language. Well, there was something, and I didn't know what the hell he was saying. And he stormed back outside of the carriage, and I watched him going down outside through the window outside of the train. I'm in the train, and he's going to a vending machine to get some cigarettes. I thought to myself, did he just ask her, did you get my cigarettes? And she didn't, and he was telling her off. She had her head down, and I just said to her, hello, and she just kept her head down, and I said, hello, and she lifted her head a little bit. Her mouth was all cut in the corner, and she had a freshly blackened eye. And I said to her, hey, are you okay? Is everything all right? She goes, yeah. She kept her head down, just quiet. I said, you're not okay, you've been hurt. Who's hurt you? She said, it's okay. And I said, hey, you're not right, you need help. She said nothing, and I was watching her, and this guy was getting pissed off with the cigarette machine, putting money in, and now he was talking to somebody, asking to help, as if the train guy could help. And I looked back at her, and I saw a tear run down the corner of her nose and drip. And I reached over, and I said, hey, you're in trouble, aren't you? And she looked up at me, and her eyes were full of tears. I said, you don't have to go with him. She said, no, it's okay. I said, no, it's not okay. I got out my diary book, and I had the address of 2 women I've been staying in, and I copied a piece on a piece of paper. And I also wrote my cell phone number on there. I said, take this. She goes, what is it? I said, it's a safe place for you to go. I said, you get off this train now. I'll tell the man when he comes back you've gone to the toilet. Take what you need and go. I could feel her heart beating. I could feel the tension. She was looking outside. She was scared. She was like a scared bird in a cage looking around. And I knew he'd hit her. I just could feel it. And she dug into her bag and she pulled out a small plastic bag of stuff inside the bag, plastic bag, and looked around. And the guy was still mucking around with his machine outside. And she looked at me. And I never ever forget the look of her eyes. And her eyes on this side was she had bruised, swollen, and hardly. But the other eye looked at me. This beautiful brown dark eye looking straight at me. And she goes, really? And I said, you'll be safe with these people. Get away. She grabbed my hand for a moment and held it. And she took a little plastic bag out. And she looked one more time at the guy. And I said, I'll keep him from coming after you. And I gave her the address. So I sat there and my heart was pounding because I'd just been a part of something. I wasn't sure if I was a part, should have been good of, but she got up. Now, apparently it takes 7 times to leave somebody. And this was her 7th time, as I'd found out later on. This had been going on for a long time, but I'll get to that part of the story. I sat there trying to act relaxed. And you were actually allowed to smoke, and it was a smoking compartment. They used to have compartments you could smoke on the train. So I was having a cigarette now to calm my nerves. And the other guy comes back in with his cigarettes, packet of Marlboro, and he's fumbling and he's looking around. And I said, she said to say she's just gone to the ladies' toilet. And he goes, oh, and she'll be right back. And I didn't actually know how much English he understood, but it would be I think he got the gist. He didn't really seem that care. He didn't care that much. He was smoking a cigarette, looking in the window. We're just sitting there. And time's ticking over. My heart's palpitating. And I'm thinking, it's probably been like 4 or 5 minutes now. And he's like starting to look around, and then he says to me in English, he goes, where you say she go? And I said, she's just said she's going to the toilet and told me to say she's in the toilet. He goes, okay. Now these people were in a foreign country and God knows where they'd just come from. All they had was, in their home was in plastic bags, and she had very little, and their passports and I guess a little bit of money. And this woman, whose name I didn't even know, who I'd only met probably within the last 10 minutes, was on her way, hopefully, to my friend's place where I'd been staying, the two women. That was the plan. Time's ticking on. Now 10 minutes and he's starting to get agitated. And he goes to the toilet. Goes to the toilets and knocks on the toilet, and the toilet's right next to the cubicle. And I poked my head on and I said, no, she went this way here. And there's toilets. He goes, okay, and he's running down the carriage. And I'm like sitting in this carriage here waiting for him to come back. And then he comes back with one of the conductors, and the conductor comes in here and he says to me, hello, and I said, hi. He says, there's a woman on this train that this man's trying to find, his wife, he can't find her. I said, yeah, she was here, she went to the toilet. She just said she's gone to the toilet. Which toilet? I said, well, she went that way. So that was the opposite direction to where she was. I was just trying to bide as much time. He was now getting into a panic. And the train was going to be going soon. It was probably taking off within maybe 15 minutes, and she wasn't there. A few people came in, and the man was sweating and talking to me. Are you sure? And I said, yeah. And the whole thing seemed to take forever before it was time for the train to leave. When the train finally left, he was on it. He didn't get off the train. He stayed on the train. And God knows what he was thinking or anything. He didn't have a phone on him. He wasn't trying to call her or anything. Not everybody had mobile phones in those days. So I was on that train with him all the way from Zurich to, we stopped off, forget the town, God, forget it, doesn't matter, not important, the story. I got off at that town there, had a break, and when I finally reached Frankfurt late that night, I wanted to go and stay with my friend Alex, Fat Al, and I was still like wondering what's become of that woman that I'd met. I get off the train at the Hofbahnhof in Frankfurt and go straight to the bridge. He had a home in the pillar of a bridge. The pillar was only like that wide, like maybe 1.5 meters wide, but it was about 5 or 6 meters long, and he'd had a bed and a couch, and I'd stayed there a few times, and Al had a hustle. He used to run down the Hofbahnhof where he'd gamble with stuff with people. I got to the bridge, and I had a funny feeling when I got down there, and I pulled back the corrugated plastic that hid the door. There was a service door that the guys that used to service the bridge. I pulled it back, and as soon as I pulled it back, my heart completely sunk. It completely sunk. It was like, oh my God. There was all this rubbish in there. Somebody sprayed something on the wall. His couch had gone, but the bed was still there. All his belongings are gone. The old bed was there, but the couch had disappeared. His cooker is gone. Everything's gone. And like, he'd just been either evicted or something had gone wrong. I don't know what the hell had happened. I was like, oh, jeez. Well, I just thought, where am I going to stay tonight? I thought maybe I'll go back to the Hofbahnhof where I first met him. Now, it's getting late now, and it's winter time, and the sun goes down pretty quick. But he used to have this hustle. He used to run down there. He used to con people pretty much. He'd pretend he was drunk, and he'd had these two classic game, the 3 cups, and he had 2 chairs he'd pull out, and we'd table, and he'd put the 3 cups, the McDonald's cups, on the table, pretend he was drunk, so everybody thought he was a bit stupid, but he was sharp as a tack. And then he'd put his little ball, and you had to guess which one it was. He'd let you win maybe once or twice, and then he'd beat your ass, and he'd take money off you. And it was good to watch. It was fun to watch, actually. It was very, very fast. I go down there, and the usual people down there in this particular corner, the heroin addicts with their bendy legs, all bendy, and there's the police walking around, and there's a typical drunk sharing cigarettes with the packets and sharing a bottle on a brown paper bag, and there's the prostitutes working their area, and the lady boys, and all the weird people that hung out. Probably shouldn't be that judgmental, but they were weird to me as a guy that came from New Zealand. And then there was the corner where all the hip people hung out with their skateboards and playing hacky sack, and that's where Dan, not Dan, God, why do I call him Dan? That's where Al would hang out. I know why I called him Dan, because Dan was American and Al was also American. They're both American, and they're both big people. Although Al was a lot fatter than Dan. He was really, really fat but strong. Yeah, and you'll find out more about that later on as the story goes on. Fat but strong, exceedingly strong. Anyway, he wasn't there. I looked around, usual place where he was, not there. Talked to a few people, talked to some of the Italians that knew him well. There's a lot of Italians in that place. No one had seen him, and I thought, oh, stuff it. I'll go and jump on the Straßenbahn, and I'll head over to the Frankfurt Jugendherberge in Sachsenhausen. That's the youth hostel. I'll go there and I'll get a night stay. So walking up to Straßenbahn, took a fine look around because it was right next to where he normally was. Went to jump on, just about to jump on, and just as I jump on, I can hear this voice miles and miles and miles away. Hey bro, hey bro, hey bro. Just about to jump on, and here's big old fat Al running towards me. Like jogging. His big old man boobs going up and down, and his table and his 2 chairs under his arm, he's running along. Go, go! I said, hey, Al! Jumped back off the train, the Straßenbahn took off, and we went up. I put my hand out to shake him, and instead of shaking my hand, he gave me a big old yucky, sweaty, smelly, and it was smelly, hug, and sort of pulled me in towards him. Very, very powerful man for a fat guy. Pulled me into his fat belly, and hey, I said, I went down to your place down by the river, bro. It's all gone. He goes, yeah, man. They found out about me pretty soon after you left. I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I said, where are you staying now? He goes, bro, I got this really beautiful place. Come with me. So we're walking like 2 teenagers. I mean, we're all excited to see each other, walking along there down the Straße, and we get into the red light area, or almost the red light area, but there's a few shops. It sort of goes from the richer part of town to the poorer part of town, right on the edge of that there in Frankfurt. And we come to this shoe shop, and the guys are they're closing the shoe shop, closing it up. It's a late night shopping night, I guess, and they're closing it up. 2 Italian guys, pristine suits. One's got a pinstripe suit with a string tie. The other one's got gold cufflinks, and their hair's all black and shiny, and their black moustaches are shiny, and they're really, really very dapper looking men. They both wave out to Al as we come in the shop, and Al's looking pretty rough. He's got his usual rough clothes on, and they look at me and look at the guitar, and hello, and I said hi. And we go past them, and there's a staircase that goes upstairs, up above their shoe shop. They sell these beautiful Italian shoes, and if you know anything about shoes, Italians have the best in the world. They had some belts and some shoe polish and other stuff. It was an extensively large shoe shop, and it's upstairs it had an area. We get up there, and there's just shoe boxes for miles, and there's a wee gap you can go down and Fat Al really struggled to get down there, and I was like sort of holding my guitar in front and my rucksack in the back, going through this gap here. Get into this little room, and there's the very same couch that he had down by the river. I said, how did you get that couch, bro, from the river all the way to this little room? He goes, carried it, man. I said, you're shitting me. No way you carried that far. He goes, yep. I said, holy shit. Okay. And all this other stuff there is cooker. Place was tidy. It had a real smell of leather, like leather, and also a smell of sort of lanolin, like sheep's wool. Lanolin, this sort of smell. And I said, bro, how much does it cost to live up here? He goes, nothing. I said, yeah, really? He goes, all I got to do, bro, is I got to clean everything downstairs every morning before they start the day, make sure everything's spotless. I've got to get up an hour early, got to clean their kitchen where they do all their own food, because they do all their own pasta and stuff in the kitchen. And I've got to clean all the windows. I've got to put the signage out. I've got to get everything ready, clean, and that's all I got to do. It takes me an hour. It's an hour a day. And I said, so what time do you do that? He goes, super early. I said, all right, cool. Anyway, we got up the following morning, and that night Ellen and I decided we'd go out on the town, and we went to Frankfurt. And this was during Desert Storm this time. There's a lot of soldiers and people milling around and stuff. It was going on through pretty much that time, or Desert Storm might have almost been just about over by then. No, they were still occupying. We're in this bar, and there's a couple of Irish guys there, slightly drunk. And they, one of them's giving everybody arm wrestles in there for money. And Al's watching it go on there, and I'm watching it. And I said to Al, you're a big lad. You reckon you could beat him? He said, I'd smash him, man. He said, he's nothing. So I said to this Irish guy, I said, how's it going here? Introduced myself. And he goes, how's it going there? Seamus from Ireland. And I said, nice to meet you, Seamus. I said, my friend reckons he can beat you in an arm wrestle. I reckon he can too. You prepared to do a bit of a wager? He looks at Fat Al and he goes, da fat fuck. I don't think he's got a... Yeah, man, I'll take your money. I said, well, how much do you want to bet? He goes, 50 D-mark, man. And I said to Al, you got 50 Deutschmarks? He goes, I don't have that much. I said, I do. And the Irish guy says, I'll fucking take your money any day, man. And I said, okay. So Fat Al comes over, waddles on over with his man boobs and his big fat tummy and sweaty face, and he puts his hand down. Now, Al was a left-handed guy, but he put his right hand out, which was his weaker hand. And that was pivotal. So they had this arm wrestle, and for a moment I thought that Al was going to beat him, but, well, he does. But the arm went right down this way, and then the Irish guy was beating him, and then Al just corrects back up. And it's like this, and then it's like, slam! Like no one saw that coming. And I looked at Al like, bro, fuck off, said the Irish guy. I cracked up, and he said, I'll give you your money, man. You took my money. And his other mate comes over beside him. He goes, I'll beat him, but it'll be left-handed because I'm a left-hander. Now, Al was a left-hander, so that was that guy's mistake. And I said to Al, I didn't know Al was a left-hander. This was information I learned after the fact. I said, Al, you up for another one with your left hand? And Al's like, yeah, man. I said, okay, another $50. And it's his left hand against your strong left hand. Fucking right it is, man. Stick your money down. I said, well, I've already got 50 off you, mate. Maybe I'll take a 50 off you. Show me your money. So put that down the bar. I'm looking after the money, and me and the guy that's just been beaten beside each other, having a drink, we're getting on pretty good. There's no animosity or thing. And I was on the thing with his hand like this here, and I was just waiting for this thing to go again. And Al goes, hey man, watch this. And the Irish guy's hand doesn't even have a shit show in hell. It wasn't even like a battle, it was just like straight away. And that's when I realised that Al had been holding out on me. He'd been doing some form of training or something, because I never saw that. We got back to the apartment, and I had some questions. Al, I said, how the hell is it that you're so damn strong, bro? Like, I didn't see that coming, particularly the second guy. He goes, brother, and I'll never forget this, assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups. And I said, yeah, I assumed you were going to get your ass kicked and we were going to lose money. Well, I thought maybe the first guy, but the second guy is, I work out, man. I said, you don't work out. You drink and you smoke and you gamble. You don't work out. He goes, don't I? comes over to his bed, which is a lift-up jobby, and underneath it there's got a kettlebell and dumbbells. And he showed me the exercise he does with his arms, and showed me he does, what does he call them? Goblin squats, he said. Goblin squat. What's a goblin squat? You hold the weight and you go down, is that right? And squats. He said, every second day, man. And I, you shitting me. He goes, no, every second day. Keep it strong, keep it strong. He said, I've made a lot of money with this arm. I said, you made a lot of money at both arms. Never ever assume anything about anybody. A valuable, valuable, valuable lesson for me. Right. By now I had phoned Mandy and heard that the woman had arrived that same day and that she was still staying at the house in Zurich, at the house with them. And she stayed there for another 2 weeks, and then she went to a woman's refuge. And from what I learnt is that was the 7th time and the last time that she tried to get away from an abusive husband. I've carried on these German stories because I asked you guys, did you want to have more of these, or did you want to go back in the past to my tales of when I was travelling around as a teenager in New Zealand in 81. So we jumped 10 years forward now, we're in 91. You asked to have these stories, so we will get to eventually when the music begins, and that's going to be a cool part too. But there's a bit of stuff that goes on before that really cranks in, which is equally, I think you'll find, well, for me, was interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. If you know a brother that's struggling, then try sharing this with him. Might cheer him up. Might just be a nice distraction from the normality of life. Sometimes it gets a bit much, and stories can be fun to listen to. This guitar's got out of tune. That's me done. See you, and go steady, brothers and the occasional sister. See you in the next Bro Check Club video, and I'll finish off with a bit of harmonica. And I'm going to play this song for you, Colin Price, because he likes the harmonica.